That's destiny. That's will. That's striving. That's being a trailblazer, an explorer, going into space, mathematics, quantum mechanics, the secrets of the universe. It's all there. Life is fiery with its beauty, its incredible detail. Tuning into it. They want to shatter your mind talking about Justin Bieber. You'll never defeat the human spirit. You'll never defeat Crowley. You'll never win. Never.
On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer your question.
Big data, machine learning, blockchain, artificial intelligence, digital manufacturing, big data analysis, quantum communication, and Internet of Things. Okay.
The spirit of humanity is rising, and it is going to defeat you. You think you're strong, you think you're scary, you try to mimic what you can only imagine in your mind.
Look, I'm gonna be 100 with you. I love this shit. I love the hustle, I love the chase, I love the money.
Don't be scared to get to the money at all times. I went to sleep 3 a.m., I was back up at 6:30, excited. No excuses. My bad. Yo, shut the fuck up and let's get to the money, man.
I built this shit. Me. Brick by brick. And I'll be damned if I let you.
Cassava Sciences is a true, once-in-a-lifetime, generational opportunity. A small biotech.
How many children do you have?
23, 22 baby mother. Real bad man.
Who I think embodies this type of NPC thinking when they're proven wrong is Jason Calacanis. Let me read about some of the things he said about me over the years. Palmer Luckey, hideous, a moron. Palmer Luckey is just an idiot and a troll. He is dumb, so dumb.
A nigga like me, man, I love the game. I love the hustle, man. Be feeling like one of them ball-playing niggas, you know, like Bird, Magic or something. Yeah, you know, a nigga got dough. A nigga could leave the league. But if I leave, the fans still gonna love me, man?
Hey guys, what's up? So we had a very weird move this morning with Rigetti. It opened up down 10%. We were patting ourselves in the back, and now it's up 10%. Go figure. Yeah, you know, that's the market for you. Yeah, I covered some down, and I just shorted some. And when I say some, I mean a lot. We'll see how the rest of the market reacts. Nvidia's down, which kind of is telling. I wanted to call that pain. I guess you didn't. It was 8 2 days ago. Then it went down to 7. Now it's 8, higher than 8. Now, but it's, I don't know, I think it's going to go right back down. It's not too painful. I mean, IonQ, if you're just short Rigetti, that's one thing, I guess. But if you're also short IonQ and D-Wave, it's super weird, you know. It's like big dip down to 680, rallies back, flat for a few days. Big dip down to 720, rallies back. Probably will be down pretty significantly if you ask me, but we'll see. General trend has been pretty abysmal, so if you're short this chart and you think it's pain, I don't know. That doesn't look like pain to me. The rally is weird. I agree with that. It's not welcome, but yeah, occasionally there's some rallies. Here's another one. There's one here. There's obviously one today, so. I covered some IonQ just for more margin to short Rigetti, because at least IonQ was down, but up 8%. It can't resist. Can't resist. Nice, Drax. Yeah, some of us played it perfectly, some of us didn't. That's how it goes. I want to look at Tempest. I don't think the market is fixed or engineered in any way, no. I mean, the earnings were not good. And I think the CEO did a good job of explaining that their revenue is basically meaningless and you shouldn't look at their revenue, which if you're that should be bad news if you're a bag holder, but you could also consider it good news in a way, because it's like, okay, now I don't even have to worry about missing earnings or meeting earnings. It doesn't even matter. Right? Like for cassava, it had its best time when the facts weren't relevant. If there's no facts, that's great. You know, I'm pre-revenue. It's when facts come through that you have to be worried if you're a retail shareholder or a bag holder of Rigetti or IonQ. You don't want any facts. You don't want any realness, because your fantasy, your fairy tale goes away. The 100-bagger fairy tale goes away. So when he says we have $2 million in revenue, instead of that being the normal bad news you would expect it to be, it's sort of like, okay, we don't have to worry about revenue. Great. This isn't the real business yet. The real business comes in 5 years. And of course, in 5 years, he's going to say the same thing. So oh, wow, that's really interesting. On App 11. Maybe we should short some App 11. Give me 1 second. Yeah, Drax, it's a little predictable. I didn't know, honestly. I thought maybe it was all over for Rigetti and we wouldn't get another pump. But here we are. I mean, you know, with the volatility, you kind of be crazy not to trade a little bit. I mean, you guys hear me every minute, order filled, order filled, order filled. You know, I'm trying to take advantage of the 5 cent, 10 cent moves. I mean, Rigetti moves 1% every minute. Think about that, 1% every minute. Most stocks don't move 1% in a day. So I don't know what happened this morning. I almost feel like it was a fat finger or something like that, but could be anything.
Order filled.
I will say IonQ trades very heavy. It's like it won't have an uptick, whereas Rigetti's always
Order
kind of had
partially
the opposite,
filled.
where it was like fairly.
Order filled.
There was like a bit underneath.
Order partially filled.
When you were trading Rigetti, it
Order
was
filled.
always somewhat, you know, being bid, whereas IonQ is kind of like
Order partially filled.
just doesn't really.
Order filled.
There's no one out there in the market buying it, and maybe part of that is their ATM, right? Whenever you have an ATM, I mean that's really
Order partially
dangerous
filled.
because the ATM's in there with
Order
VWAP,
filled.
and it's trying
Order
to
partially filled.
just participate with VWAP, and
Order
it's just going to be
filled.
an extra weight on the company, and that's why on the stock, and that's why, you know, like
Order
IonQ isn't
partially
up
filled.
today, and it's very
Order
well
filled.
possible, you know, the VWAP in action.
Order partially filled. Order filled. Order partially filled. Order filled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
But yeah, I mean, I would short Rigetti up here. This is a good trade. This is a good trade. This is like, this draws in the bag holders who think it's not all over. And this draws in a couple of weak shorts. It'll last about an hour or two. It should collapse. That's my guess. Doesn't help that the market's weak too. Oh, let me turn my screen back on. Oh, you can see. Okay. I
Order
would be
partially
shorting app 11.
Order filled.
The price action looks really bad, for instance. And the fundamentals are really bad. Technical analysis isn't too useful, but if it helps you, let it help you, you know. It creates discipline for traders, which they otherwise normally wouldn't have. So if you can follow the discipline, that's always good. So the basic idea is, the basic idea of TA is trend following. It's funny, it's like a mix of trend following, a mix of mean reversion, and, you know, definitely stop losses. So you're kind of getting a lot of ingredients of a good trading system. So if you're a good trader, that kind of stuff will work. I mean, you basically have a stop loss risk management system. That's 90% of trading. You have a way to, you know, get good trend following, which is what they call, I think, breakouts and breakdowns, right? So that's trend following. Then you have mean reversion memes as well, like head and shoulders, or, you know, bouncing off support or whatever. You know, those types of things are mean reversion, you know, weak mean reversion ideas. So like, it kind of works. You know, in terms of, you know, you have the ingredients. Is there some foolproof way to implement it? Of course not. You know, that'd be nice, but not realistic. Yeah, it's hard to do the synthetic short if there's no. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can do that too, Teddy. Yeah, if there's no shares outstanding, borrow. There's no borrow available. Yeah. No, when something's hard to borrow, I mean, it's usually actually pretty bearish. I mean, think about it. If people are fighting to short your stock, that's not a stock you necessarily want to be in. Should look at Avago. Oh, we don't have a Walmart model. That'd be sort of a good thing to look at. Costco model. Don't have Exxon model. Netflix, we do. Home Depot, we do. I don't think we have a Procter model, but I should probably make a Procter & Gamble model. Johnson & Johnson, of course. LVMH, we should probably do as well. Palantir is the 41st biggest company in the world. Isn't that wild? 41. Bigger than Wells Fargo, bigger than Cisco. Bigger than IBM, bigger than Novartis. I don't think IonQ's a buy at this price, no. But it's not as good of a short as Rigetti, at least in the very
Order
near term,
partially filled.
It's probably Rigetti's a better short at 9.
Order partially filled.
I mean, IonQ kind of has something to spin now, whereas Rigetti isn't even
Order
pretending
partially filled.
to spin. They're just like,
Order filled.
nothing's happened in our company for years. Their business strategy is, I pray the government will fund us. Yeah, John, I mean, I think, sometimes when stocks have been pummeled so much, that's, that does happen, but I agree that it's a little strange. All right, why don't we look at Walmart? No, I don't think anybody would want to acquire Rigetti for this price. There's just no obvious reason to. When the machines don't work. Like, if they had a promising machine that was going to work, then that's a different story. I have heard a rumor from my sources that there is a new type of computer coming out later this summer that actually does work and has millions of, well, they're not called qubits in this case, but they're special bits that are, think of them like qubits, I guess. They're more powerful than regular bits. So no QPU is going in a notebook anytime soon, that's for sure. Unless your notebook has liquid nitrogen and laser beams. $100,000 laser beams. And your notebook needs 9 qubits when you could simulate more. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I do have a, yeah, it's a private company. You know, take it with a grain of salt. You know, might not happen. Yeah. I don't really know Organogenesis. If this is the same company I was short, the 3D printing of organs. Is that the company? I was short this years ago. Yeah, I mean, if you need a lot of capital, being public kind of makes sense. I mean, there's nothing. Oh yeah. I don't know these guys that well. Sorry. I was thinking of Organovo. That was the one I was short for many years. Organogenesis is a little bit more real. Yeah, I can't share the company's name, Ryan. I think you may probably know it. But I'm told there is a breakthrough coming. We'll see if it's real, if it's true, you know. It's not IBM, no. It's not in quantum. It's not a quantum computer. So, but it would be the quantum killer. Yeah, you don't need profits to forecast a company. Most of the stuff we look at isn't profitable.
Order filled. Order partially filled. Order partially filled. Order filled. Order partially filled. Order filled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
Here we go.
Order partially filled.
Here we go.
Order filled.
Here we go. What's the scenario?
Order filled.
Yeah, I can short Rigetti, and I can. Wait, no, I don't have shares available for Rigetti, but I do have a massive amount of calls I can sell. All right, let's look at Walmart. Odd business here, where it's not that odd actually, but the only thing I'd say that was odd, the point I just saw, was their membership income, which I'm guessing their membership income is really, really high value. That's Sam's Club. Any of you guys in Sam's Club? It's got a lot like Costco, right? You have to pay to be a shopper. Kind of nuts. I'm not going to play the guessing game, Darren. And what's the point of paying to be a shopper? Again, I'm from New York, so I'm kind of a little bit, you know. Right, but why are you paying to be a shopper? It kind of doesn't make a ton of sense. It's just sort of, you're still a retailer, right? Why don't you pay to go to, you know, Best Buy? Or I get that they do it. That I am clear about. The question is, how do you sell that? Keeps out the riffraff. That That's fair. You can look up your nose, down your nose at anybody. You feel proud that you're in there. Okay, Brady, yeah, that makes sense. You can command that price because other people can't. What's the cost of a membership anyway? Now I'm getting FOMO. The hell is going on in this Sam's Club, in this Costco? Shit is. Oh, I see. So no EBT. It's very cheap. I see. Almost no theft. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Man, I go into the CVS and I just know who's about to rob it. I look at him like, yeah, boy, I see you. I'm going to help you out. Hold on. You get the register.
Order filled.
I'm going to get the toothpaste. I need this toothpaste.
Order filled.
Toothpaste sells well. You put that shit right back up on eBay.
Order filled.
Pure profit. Me and Always Testy. That's why are they allowed to make all this gross margin? Why can't I make gross margin? Why can't I make a little gross margin too? Everybody's studying these numbers, talking about gross margin. Where's my gross margin? You're talking about PP&E. I'm talking about B&E, breaking and entering.
Order filled. Order filled.
But you get 10, 20 tubes of toothpaste, baby.
Order filled.
You're eating good for a week. B&E.
Order filled.
Oh yeah, we're about to work on the algo, Sean. Needs a little TLC, but it spammed an order a second. It was spamming an order a second, which I didn't like. Oops. Okay, so we're launching futures either this week or next week, Rashida. Real-time futures for you folks. I can't wait. Formula and diapers. Oh, that's good money. I don't know what mother buys formula and diapers off of eBay, though. But maybe you saw it in the hood. Maybe you saw it in the hood. We don't have bonds coming sooner than commodities and futures come first. Indices. Maybe you distributing that in the hood. If so, good for you. They refer to our operations as shrinkage. That's because their profits is shrinking. I don't give a fuck about a Best Buy profits or Target's profits, bro.
Order filled.
Trying to get some profits from me. You know they have like WhatsApps where you can join for like flash robberies, like flash mobs, except they're like flash robs. All right, everybody, we're gonna hit the Gucci store.
Order
7:35. 12:15 on the dot. We just running that Gucci.
Order filled.
We're running and grabbing everything, leaving. Security can't
Order
do
filled.
shit. No way. On Facebook, Gordon? No way. Oh man, society. Bas van der Toon. How do I avoid these groups? Can you imagine going in with a fucking ski mask and they catch you and they're like, aren't you the famous hedge fund manager John Smith? No. Sir, you're on the Forbes list. Number 632. Not me. That's my cousin. I just do it for the thrills, okay? I do it for the thrills. I'm undercover, damn it. I'm undercover. Egg prices are hitting everybody. Truth is, my returns have been down because of quantum computing. These egg prices are really hurting. Give me my mask back. Yeah, when they ID me, I'm like, no, bitch, I'm Santa Claus now. No, give me those cat treats. Grabbing the cat treats, grabbing the vitamins. What else you got there? Yeah, give me that too. I need that. Hand sanitizer. Putting that all under one arm. Run upstairs. Every day the cashier's like, oh, fuck, stupid. It's a fucking farmer bro again, ready to rob us for $60.
Order filled. Order cancelled.
Sorry, you're publicly traded. You can afford it. You have insurance. That's the quote. What did insurance premium cost? Yeah, you're not gonna stop me from feeding
Order
my
filled.
cat. I gotta feed my cat, my family. Don't free Luigi. Free Luigi, I'm next.
Order partially filled.
Fucking keep that fucker inside.
Order filled.
Matter of fact, I'm
Order
gonna call my boys,
partially
have them
filled.
tune them up. Tune them up a little
Order
bit.
filled. Order partially filled. Order filled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
Don't worry, I got security.
Order partially filled. Order filled.
You got to go through my mans if you want to get to me.
Order partially filled. Order filled.
Yeah, just get some liquidity and short some Rigetti. That's it. It's only one thing you can do. Add to your losers. It's bad trading advice, obviously. Depending on how fast, I mean, if you really do think it's going to go down, you can add to a loser. If it's going
Order
to plummet,
partially
that's how
filled.
strong it is, too.
Order filled. Order filled.
Get out of here, kitty. Nobody loves you. She shows up here. She's like, what you doing? Want to play? No, not really. That's not Trashy, that's Nibbles.
Order filled.
Trashy's very old. She's not very old, actually. She's relatively active for an old lady.
Order filled.
Yeah, I don't know what people are doing on Rigetti. I mean, I do think some
Order
bag holders are looking at this
Order
as like some
partially
kind of
filled.
like message from God that
Order filled.
this is the stock they should be buying. But
Order partially filled.
I also think
Order filled.
there's probably some weaker shorts covering that are scared.
Order filled.
I can't imagine this. Look at the momentum for the last month. I mean, it's not about to reverse
Order
over.
partially filled. Order filled.
It's been a shit show, man.
Order partially filled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
Yes, I mean, yeah, could it go to a 10 or 11? Yeah, sure, of course. Stocks can go to any price. That's just the nature of the market, but
Order partially
probably,
filled.
I wouldn't think it would. Talking about
Order
probability.
partially filled.
It's unlikely, I would say.
Order partially filled. Order filled.
When's Zavago?
Order
Zavago
partially
tonight?
filled. Order filled.
I don't think it's pumping because there's no shares to short. I mean, any sophisticated player can find a way to short it.
Order partially filled. Order filled. Order filled.
Shush. I say shush. Shush. Yeah, there's just borrow missing on one brokerage. That's not really that relevant anyway. Their borrow rate's not that high. But yeah, I mean, those dislocations matter on the margin, but I think whatever the reason.
Order filled. Order filled.
Oh my gosh, shut the fuck up. Stupid ass cat, man. Shut that shit up. Oh, we ain't talking to you, man. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
Order partially filled.
Okay, let's see.
Order
we have
partially
9
filled.
month
Order filled.
balance sheet here and 9-month cash flow. So let's see. Walmart is $10 billion. I'm telling you, they can afford it. 63 billion inventory.
Order partially filled.
116 billion
Order
PP&E.
filled.
Interesting, right? $80.82 shares outstanding, so 775 billion market cap. It really kept up. I remember when Walmart was a 200 billion market cap. So just owning Walmart shares would have done you fairly well.
Order partially filled. Order filled.
But we can also look at things like return on tangible assets and whatnot for Walmart, because that's pretty important. It's a real business. I mean, you kind of even if you're gonna do biotech for a living or software, it doesn't hurt. It kind of doesn't hurt to to look at real companies, because it reminds you and grounds you of like, okay, this is how the real world works. There's capital. That capital is
Order partially
the basis for the return.
Order filled.
You can't have a return without capital. That's the old way of looking at things. Obviously, that way has been that line of thinking has been destroyed, right? I mean, one, you could outsource your capital needs. Two, there's goodwill. But, we used to live in a rational, non-Veblen world where, any Veblen good would be competed out. But the wealth of nations has resulted in Veblen goods not just existing and not just persisting, but flourishing. And the Veblen good, where, you could you can buy Starbucks coffee, speaking of Starbucks, for 10 times what it costs to make. Yeah, we can look at the CoreWeave. Veblen wrote a book. This is the guy Thorstein Veblen, old economist. And the theory of the leisure class. What's amazing is it's 100+ years old. The term conspicuous consumption. Right, you want to be conspicuous when you're wearing your Hermes bag. Keeping your Hermes bag in the closet doesn't do you any good, right? I don't think cities are, because cities aggregate work. Veblen goods are status symbols. Whereas there are other types of goods that you could argue drugs, for example, are the Giffen good, not a Veblen good, but it all breaks down back to elasticity. But the Veblen's special because it has the value in the signal. So what were we talking about? Yeah. So I want you to think about this. Think about this in the framework of capital theory and investing theory. I talked to you guys a little while back. Every now and then, if you pay really close attention, and I mentioned that this is kind of like an advanced lesson or whatever, I talk about PP&E a lot as as you guys may have heard me say, is the soul of business. Your capital equipment is what's supposed to allow you to have a margin, right? I want you to think back to the 1800s, where you either were a laborer or you owned equipment, in essence. This is when they say the means of production, right? This is the Marxist idea of the means of production. You either own the means of production or you are the means of production. And, so when you see companies like MongoDB or Pfizer without any property, plant, and equipment, or, maybe not Pfizer exactly, but any biotech company, very little property, plant, and equipment, and they're making gushers of cash, there's something that has to explain that. Now, in the case of the drug companies, there's some monopoly that's happening due to some law. In that case, the law is, of course, called a patent. And then if you're looking for, say, I think the biggest thing was Coca-Cola. Why isn't Coca, I think to a young Buffett, the biggest question was, why, how can Coca-Cola do what they're doing? Right? Coca-Cola has this enormous return on capital. Doesn't cost much to make syrupy concentrate. They don't even make the bottles or do the bottling. That's another company. So they just make the raw syrup and sell you the syrup. Somebody else puts it in cans and adds water and carbonates it. And so Coke just, prints cash, and you could replicate all Coke for very little amount of money. And the meme, there used to be the old meme about their secret formula. Well, you can make the Coke that tastes identical to Coke with modern science. Maybe 50 or 100 years ago, there was a secret formula, but today, there's no secret formula. When I was a kid, you used to hear about the secret formula all the time. It was a bit of a legend. Today, people don't really talk about it anymore because they know it's a meme. Because you've tasted other colas that taste the same, right? So, there's no secret formula realistically. But in any event, so if you think about why is Coke allowed to do that, it really gets back to the brand. And Buffett studied that really carefully, as should you. And again, I go back to the chess analogy because it's the only one that feels comfortable for me. As a kid studying chess, I read the book My System, which was thought to be one of the best chess books ever written. But then I read Saruman writing a foreword to it, to a modern edition. I read that relatively recently. The modern edition wasn't available back then. But Yasser Saruman wrote this forward, and he said, when I was reading My System, I disagreed with a lot of it. And I read that, I said, I agree. There's a lot of My System that's kind of outdated. It was written 100 years ago. Chess theory was not as well developed as it is today. The meta of chess has shifted quite a lot, just like any other game. So, and for what it's worth, I do think it's very good to study games in general, and I'll tell you about that when it comes to Renaissance sometime. But in any event, when it comes to chess, Yasser said that the book was really valuable to read because it made me think about chess. And I think that the stuff I'm telling you about, like I said, you may never actually invest in GM or Coke. One is capital light, one is capital heavy, right? Capital intensive or capital non-intensive. And, anybody can start a car company. The problem isn't really the brand. There's some people that like, Corvettes, and there's some people that like GMC or whatever it is. But in general, cars are kind of, it's not hard to get demand for a car. It's kind of hard to stay in business with all that capital equipment required. Car plant's billions of dollars. So you can't just start a car company. You can start a software company tomorrow. AWS has a free tier, for crying out loud. You could make your computer a web server if you wanted. But, you can't really do that with a car company. You probably can't even do that with a cola company. But it's a lot cheaper to start a cola company and replicate Coca-Cola. But you're not going to sell very well because the brand that they built over many, many years is very valuable. Now, that sounds obvious, right? But it's not so obvious when you look at other companies like Stryker. Do doctors really care what surgical tools they use for hip and knee replacements? A little bit, but not that much. I think that when you look at orthopedic companies, you're going to see that there's something very weird there because there isn't much of a monopoly from a regulatory perspective. It's actually kind of easy to get some of those hip and knee replacements approved. But they just make a fortune for some reason, despite the fact that they have very little capital. When I say capital, I mean capital equipment. I don't mean cash. So where is that extra return coming from? Because you, as a business person, have a choice. Say you got $1 million, whether you inherited it or you follow my cassava advice, either way, you have $1 million. You have a choice. You can go to your bank and buy 6% bonds, okay? You can go to, buy the SPY ETF and you think maybe you'll make 8%. You can buy a small cap ETF. Maybe you'll make 12%. But what if you buy a plant? Now, let's look at Walmart. If you said, well, I want to recreate some of Walmart. Well, it doesn't look like a great deal. It's an okay deal, because let's say this quarter you make about 4.7 billion, right? We'll multiply that by 4. So for the year, you would make 18.9 billion. And if your property, plant, and equipment costs 117 billion, your return is 16%. So that's higher, right? That is higher technically than any of the alternatives I listed. And it won't be hard to find a publicly traded company that has that same, a much higher return, 20% or 30% or 40%, 50, 100, etc. And the question is, well, why can't I make that money? Well, in the case of Walmart, you probably could open a retailer tomorrow. You probably, if you had $1 million to spend, you probably could open a little retailer. And with enough blood, sweat, tears, and heart and soul, you probably could make 16% a year. And that's 16% every year, mind you. Now we have to look at the capital equipment requirements, but you know that could be a very good return. Now you get your money back, you know, depending on how much this grew. How long would it take to get your money back? Well, 16 times 7, right, is roughly, you know, six or 7 years basically. It's really 6, right? 6.5 years you got your money back. That's a pretty good deal. Now you don't know, of course, there's lots of risks in starting a business, so you have to discount that cash flow quite a bit. So the numbers may be a little different, but the point is that what I want you to think about, which is kind of one of the most important lessons in business, is that the decision between investing in a security and investing in capital equipment is theoretically fungible. And that's something that very few people appreciate. That's mostly because we get pigeonholed into jobs where that's the viewpoint. I mean, you're sitting on a trading desk. Nobody wants to hear this shit. We're here to trade, right? But I think that if you're sitting at, you know, we actually heard this yesterday. I was actually really impressed from Sanofi. Not Sanofi, actually, the Biogen CEO, who was the CEO of Sanofi. Fungible means the same, you know, interchangeable. You can swap it for something else. It wouldn't make a difference. $100 bills are fungible. Your $100 bill isn't any better than my $100 bill. NFTs are non-fungible. So in any event, I think that is Trump saying something? They get a month extra. So, well, that's the problem is you thought to Buffett and to somebody growing up in the 60s, selling sugar water for $1 that costs 5 cents to make is very bizarre. And, you know, the country got really rich. So that was a Veblen good. Today, we don't look at it as a Veblen good. We look at it as an obesity prescription. And what is a Veblen good has changed. But signaling value will lead you to have this huge increase in capital returns. Better than the stock market. Way better. But how do you get that? It's not easy if you can get it. That's why celebrities do tons of endorsements and stuff like that, because it's sort of like this huge return on nothing. You know, they have this intangible asset, this goodwill. They don't have a piece of property or plant or equipment, but they do have their name. And if they can use their name to endorse a product, it's a way of getting returns on their capital, their social capital. So capital can come in all types of forms, but the traditional way of looking at it, which has obviously changed a little bit, is you basically, again, from the really maybe even before the 1800s, but since the dawn of the corporation, if you don't have property, plant, or equipment, you're not getting a return. You're going to be working the property, the plant, or the equipment for somebody else's return. Again, there's very kind of capitalist, Marxist, socialist ideas of, you know, capital versus labor. You know, this is an eternal battle, according to these economists, that there is a battle between labor, who says you wouldn't have your profit without me, and the capital, who's the owner of the capital, advocating for the capital, saying, well, I can't make my profit without the capital, and I deserve the profit, not you. And the union movement, which is largely dead, but the union movement attempted to preserve the value, which is sometimes called the labor movement for that exact reason, tried to preserve the value of labor. Now, of course, we see more and more automation, labor's less and less necessary, and those intangible assets, like brand, have become more important than capital necessarily. When we talk about the death of manufacturing in America, this is what we're talking about. So probably for a good chunk of equity value out there, we've basically said that the value comes in it being hard to make this kind of thing, it being hard to distribute this kind of thing, it's hard to get a brand and a reputation for these kinds of things. Those are the things that stop you from being able to replicate Salesforce.com. Right? How many CRMs are there out there? Millions. But they, for better or worse, they have the best CRM, and they have the most marketed CRM, and all kinds of other things that enable them to be a $200 billion company with probably, $5 or $10 billion of capital equipment. So, I just want you to think about that framework because it really is a rare one to use. And again, when the Biogen CEO said, well, we spent $3 billion on basic research, not development, but basic research. That means research to develop an IND, which is the first step of development, which is testing a drug in people. We spent $300 million a year for 10 years. It's $3 billion. He said, I could have had 10 or 20 venture funds instead of the basic R&D, which didn't amount to much. So it's a really interesting way to look at it and think about it. And I would always say that, you're better off investing in the S&P 500 for most of these biotechs than trying to do their own R&D. Goodwill is just, basically worthless accounting thing, but to me at least. So in any event, I think that idea that what would have this company been worth if it just took its profits and put it in the S&P 500? Well, for a lot of companies, that was a better deal. And so when people say WACC, weighted average cost of capital, they are trying to, the first lesson I learned in business was maybe 14, or real academic finance, is that the corporation has the WACC hurdle, and it has to come up with projects that have a net return on capital above the WACC. And the problem is that if you can't find projects that have a net return, that includes probability of success and stuff like that, if you can't find a net return above the WACC, you should return the capital to shareholders through dividends or buybacks. Now, they didn't even say buybacks back then because they didn't really do them. Today, buybacks are more popular than dividends, and as they should be for tax reasons. So that is a funny idea because most management teams will never, ever say that they can't find projects that will return above weighted average cost of capital. Now, the problem is, what if you own the business? And this is the agent principal problem. This is like the first chapter of most business textbooks, where the management gets paid if they say that they can get good returns on invested capital. They don't get paid if they say, well, you don't really need us. I'm just going to give you all the dividends back. Have you ever seen a publicly traded company that is just returning dividends, just doing buybacks, no new projects, they're just sunsetting the business, they're harvesting all the cash they can? Never. No way. I got to keep investing. I got to keep doing other things. I got to figure out how to grow. And, that's kind of one of the sins of business today is that, it's grow at all costs and grow no matter what. But, there's healthy growth and there's destructive growth. I mean, you can grow inorganically. Look at what IonQ is doing, right? IonQ is struggling to grow organically. So they're saying, well, let's use our capital and buy a bunch of other companies. Maybe that'll get us out of our problem. Well, the problem is, unless you're paying really good prices for those companies, it's not going to get you out of your problem. It's arguably going to make it worse. So lots of little lessons here. I think, hopefully you considered some of them and learned something. If not, again, there's more important lessons. But one of the funny things about business is that it's actually very easy to understand. It's very simple. All these principles and thoughts are important and easy, but you do have to go through them. If you skip all of these, you are giving yourself a hard time for no reason. It's not hard to learn kind of the academic corporate finance. What is important to do, and why they teach this in MBA, is, so what do MBA study, right? If you can learn mostly all of business right away, what do MBA study? Well, at Harvard, they study case studies. And I think that's, really important. And you guys sometimes see me doing things that you find perplexing. Sometimes I look at old companies. I spend a lot of time looking at companies that are long gone. You can't trade them, things like that. I look at companies I'm never going to trade. I look at private companies, and you say, well, why is he doing any of this? And the point is, like, if you can get these case studies in your head about what worked and what didn't work, you sometimes will see me like put down people's names and like track down every employee of a company. That's actually how I met my girlfriend, who I'm sure will soon be, well, regardless, we live together, so you get the point. But that's how I met my girlfriend. And like, I just look at like, who was the first 20 people at Google? Who are the first 20 people at Microsoft? I'm going to track down every one of these people. Now, I don't know if Bill Gates is going to return my call, but I think some of these other guys might return my call. And believe it or not, you slowly can put together a little bit of a
Autofilled.
A little bit of a network, or even a little bit of a pastiche of kind of what you think has happened. And so you start to get like a vision, in a sense, for okay, this is how this company made itself a special company, or this is how this company didn't make itself a special company and actually got really lucky, and et cetera, et cetera. The story is always very faceted, multifaceted. And, there's ancillary business benefits to that. Maybe one of these people might invest in your company, or your name gets out there a little bit more, whatever it is. But, in general, you're trying to study these businesses of historic businesses. And that's what Harvard MBA basically is, right? You don't even study any of these formulas or things like that anymore. It's not relevant. So I think that's kind of cool. Like, people think of business school or graduate school and they groan. Well, you might groan, but there is a value to studying businesses with smart professors and other people. I think you probably learn in business school. You learn more from the other people and the networking you get from other MBA candidates than you would probably from the professors. So lots of, now you don't have all the time in the world either, right? So, you can't sit there and study all day, but, I try to, one of the reasons I like to do this is I like to look at businesses and study them, and I get more knowledge about, okay, how did this company do this in this situation? And I'm able to, in my own businesses, recall some of this stuff and say, oh yeah, this is how Atlassian took over the world. This is how AppLovin rose to success and then maybe fell from success. And when maybe you're in your company and you're thinking about doing a move like AppLovin did, maybe it's even unethical. You say, does this make sense? Should I do this? And we don't know how the AppLovin story will end. We have no clue. Maybe end well, and not so well. But it's a new story. It's a new case study. And when the case studies stop? Anybody know? When all the case studies stop? Yep, when you die. Thank you, Carol. And that's why if you read Buffett and all this stuff, like Buffett and Munger, these guys, Munger was still looking at businesses until he died. Because it's just more lessons, more things. And a lot of times you don't even need to take the risk to get the lesson. When Valiant, VRX, when Valiant was all the rage on Wall Street, I mean, Ackman was saying it was the next, this Ackman guy, that's my icon. I don't have a good impression for icon, but this Ackman guy. We should watch that real quick so people know what I'm talking about. But I think most people know what I'm talking about. But this Ackman guy bought a bunch of Valiant. He said it was the next Berkshire Hathaway. Well, Berkshire Hathaway itself did not love hearing that. I think Charlie Munger was particularly insulted. And I think that, this Ackman guy really thought Valiant was going to work out. And of course it didn't. And I think that he took the risk of buying Valiant shares, and he paid the price, unfortunate for him, of losing money. And and you didn't have to buy Valiant to see what was going to happen. Now, what's funny is they also didn't buy Tesla. They also didn't buy Microsoft. They also didn't buy Google. And Buffett actually talks about his regret not buying Google. He said they should have known. They should have known better. Because they were a user, he said, of the product. Now, I don't think that's a good excuse to being the user of the product. He shouldn't have been unaware of Google, even if they weren't a user of the product. But I suppose that's a reason, But I do think Buffett's fear of technology, or whatever you want to call it, has probably caused him more harm than good. But, he's obviously not crying. And I think, again, when Buffett said stuff like, we invest in businesses we understand, it's from that capital is your return engine perspective. It's a very old perspective, but it is a perspective that makes sense. And now you're hearing people talking about the death of SaaS, right? That maybe, I doubt it, but maybe a guy and a Cursor and a Claude or OpenAI or whatever, that one man and an IDE can recreate the software that you need. I don't need Salesforce. I can make my own. I don't need Workday. I can make my own, and so forth. And that basically the capital part of a software company is now being laid bare. That, hold on, drug companies have super high margins. Well, they got patents. Why does Oracle have super high margins? Why does Salesforce have high margins? Why does Intuit have high margins? Why does Adobe have high margins? Why do I need any of these things? I'll just have my AI make them. And of course, we don't think that AI can do that right now. But over time, perhaps that's the case. And that's sort of the Buffett theory of, well, wait a second, why would I pay for software when I can make it myself? And, some companies do make their own software. But the question is, will all software disappear? And that capital is something that you no longer have to look at and say, well, I wish I could spend a couple $100 million on capital and get a multi-billion-dollar software company. Now the point is that, well, Kamata said, we're going to start seeing, software companies like that coming out cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. We'll see what happens. Nobody knows what the future will hold. Maybe there'll be a brand new, there'll kind of be a brand new way to think about business. Maybe not. This is where your theory and my theory, we'll toss it around maybe over glass of wine or something. We'll just figure out, well, actually the capital is in the relationships. The software itself didn't make a difference. You could sell slop. I'm not saying Oracle right out loud right now, but you could sell slop and still get huge customers.
Order cancelled.
It doesn't matter if your software is good or not, works or
Order
not.
filled. Order cancelled.
To make a difference. So, because it's all in the relationships of sales and things like that. But then does the capital become the salesperson? I don't know. Lots of good questions. I'm not saying you should listen to Kamath or something, by the way. If that's what you caught from that, I don't know what to tell you. Was Kamath a quantum computing guy, really? Did Kamath invest in this shit? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I'm the baggy middleman. I'm the head baggy in charge. I tell you what to buy. I tell you what to hodl. I tell you what to diamond hand. There's no dumping of bags without my say-so. First bag I want you to buy, GameStop. You have any money left? Buy AMC. You got any more money left? Buy Virgin Galactic. I'm the head baggy in charge. Fuck all these other baggies. Listen to me. You sell when I sell. No, wait. Let me get it back. Don't do it over. You sell when I say sell. Not a moment sooner. Yeah, you've heard of that risk parity? Have you guys heard of that? This is the Bridgewater risk parity theory. You gotta shift your AMC and your GameStop exposures depending on their movement. So as your GME goes up, you sell a little bit and you buy some more AMC. And you just go in and out of balance like that. Just private baggy reporting to duty. Yeah, I don't know how Richard Branson, anyone stands this guy. The tea's grown cold, I'm wondering why. Get out of bag it all. Negative P&L on my window. But I can't see it all. I won't sell it all. If I could, it would all be red. My P&L would all be red. Yeah, exactly. IonQ and Rigetti risk parity. I actually was doing that today, so I guess I should be laughing at myself. Yeah, I know George. George is great. George is like one of these entrepreneurs that has these like superpower strengths in certain departments. And I'm not saying he has like weaknesses in other departments. He just has superpower strengths in some departments, which I think kind of makes him a good entrepreneur. I have no doubt his companies are and will be very, very, very successful. I was supposed to hang out with him in New York, but I wasn't feeling well. I hate socializing. I don't know why. I'd rather hang out with you guys. I also hate glazing. And Nani, you're saying no one hangs out with me? Huh? Thing about the internet is there's no bouncer for the internet. They let everybody in. Even people who need to go back to school. Yeah, I know you hate the sound of that. A lot of you people hate the sound of school. I hate school. I can't do it. School's for losers, right? No. No, you learn things in school. Believe it or not. But some of you you have a problem. You know what that problem is? It's called ADHD. Yeah. You watch too much TV. You watch too much SpongeBob growing up. SpongeBob SquarePants. Brr, brr, brr. I don't even know how the song goes. You're watching too much Patrick and SpongeBob and Bikini Bottom and Sally or whatever. I don't even know the show. But you're watching these things, okay? And it just started corroding your brain, right? And I don't know if it was just SpongeBob, but it was other things too. It was video games. Here, yeah, let me show you how it works. Right? This is your brain. This is what the video games did to your brain right here. Here, I'm going to take this, draw a very highly scientific picture here. It started doing this. Bad. That's scar tissue right there, okay? Okay? And that's then the rap music, it's here. Right in the frontal lobe. Real good. Okay? And then here's the video games you played. Oh, just causing deep scars right here. Okay? Oh, man. What other fucking brain rot? Here's TikTok. Here's TikTok. TikTok's bad, man. I gotta amp this up. TikTok's pretty bad. TikTok's just fucking scar tissue. All kinds of T1 weighted abnormalities appearing on your MRI scan. Doctor's looking at it. He's like, yep, TikTok. It's TikTok. Yeah, some of you were smoking weed. That's right. I forgot about that. Here's the weed. Yeah. Pretty much you're working at 40% brain capacity of the frontal lobe. This stuff is fine. This stuff is evolutionarily protected. You're going to still be able to walk, talk, run, and unfortunately reproduce because this stuff is fine, So, and unfortunately, you're also going to be able to talk, smell, and do stuff like that, like come into my chat and waste my time because this stuff is fine. But the part where you're supposed to make sense, oh yeah, that's been long gone. Enough TikTok, enough internet, enough YouTube, enough all that stuff, it just starts to just die. So you're left with a very small amount of brain. And when you hear the term school, which might restore some of this, it might bring it back. It might say, okay, we're back. Nope, you don't want that. You don't want that. School. Whoosh. School hurts, man. That hurts me inside. That's your brain throbbing with pain. No, I don't want this. I can't go back to school. And you come up with some excuse, any excuse you can to not learn. Can't learn. Okay, well, if you don't want to go back to school, open up Wikipedia and take notes and read that for 6 hours. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. He goes to Wikipedia. 2 seconds later. Oh yeah, what's on Steam? Let me see. And this is your Steam. You got 50 video games on it. How'd that happen? How'd that happen? I have 50, 60 video games on it because I researched the game industry. That's different. That's different. And then you go to porn. Pornhub, Xhub, pornvideos.com. I mean, all these things, right? You waste some time on that. Then you watch the TV, you watch sports, even though the Yankees aren't going to help you. The Knicks are not going to, their paycheck doesn't go to you. Your paycheck goes to them. So what happens to your brain? It gets even worse. It gets even worse. And you know who started it all? SpongeBob. He's living right here, SpongeBob. He's chilling. He's in your subconscious, and he's guiding all of this death, this brain death. Pretty soon your brain's pretty much empty. The only thing you can do, walk, talk, breathe, smell, fight, this type of stuff. Yes, now you're really screwed over. All you've got is this butt crack left. You see that? Little butt crack guy here. Parietal lobe. That's it. Parietal lobe, amygdala. Most of the structures are pretty much gone. Yeah. So, go back to school if you can't type a full sentence. Stay in school if you're in school. Learn some stuff. Pay attention. It's good for you. It really is. Okay, how many stores does Walmart have? Well, it's complicated. They have superstores, discount stores, neighborhood markets, and Sam's Club. So that's 5,214 stores. And again, that can give you a sense for, okay, well, if I just wanted to compete with Walmart in one place, obviously, they have distribution network and stuff like that. But what, theoretically at least, would it cost to compete in one place? Oh, that's interesting. If I never would have guessed it, actually. Would you have guessed it? What does one Walmart store cost in PP&E? They have 5,000 stores. Yeah, of course it's a delivery. $30,000? You joking? 5 million's light. 22 million. 22 million. Each store is about 22 million of property. It's not per quarter. That's the standing value of the property, plant, and equipment. Depreciated value. I took the property, plant, and equipment, which is 117 billion, and divided by how many stores they have, which is 5,000. Pretty simple. So if you can cough up $22 million of equipment, you can basically brick for brick replicate a Walmart. Will you get their sales? I don't know. That depends. Somebody goes in your version of Walmart, all the prices are too high. That's not good. That might be what the fuck happens too. So, yeah, Ken, that's a good point. The leases, I disagree with the FASB approach. I don't think these leases are real costs because you also have them as assets. So I'm not a big fan of the lease accounting. Well, we can also do the revenue per store. So the revenue per store is pretty simple to do too. Yeah, just eyeballing it, it's 31 million a quarter. So yeah, around 100 something a year. So they do have international stores too. That's just US. I didn't know they have a lot more international stores than they used to. I'm surprised actually. So technically that's for, the number I gave you, 22, is too high. The real number there, including international, is more like 11 million. I didn't include it. I just looked at US stores. I didn't even bother looking at international. They have 144 distribution facilities. No, 368 distribution facilities. So again, really important to me to look at this stuff. Now, they also do same-store sales. And again, I have some new data sources that might be able to allow us to get some of those numbers during the quarter. Of course, if you knew the actual Walmart numbers during the quarter, that's called insider trading, and you're going to experience what I experienced. Don't do that. But it's not illegal to get some data that gives you a sense of how the quarter is going. Credit card data is one kind of that data. Many hedge funds have that. The data source I'm looking at, so we'll have that for Goodell subscribers at some point, but the data source I'm looking at, which we might have for Goodell subscribers very soon, is a third kind of data source, different kind of data source that nobody's got. So I will share that when appropriate. And I'm not saying it's going to be better than credit card data or better than, whatever. I'm just saying that it's another data point to add. And they generally call this alternative data for what it's worth. Yeah, you don't want to do insider trading. That's the easiest crime to get caught on. If you're going to go with crime, I would go with... there is no crime that's really worth the money, to be honest. It just doesn't pay. Robbing the Gucci store. Flash mob, flash rob. Get the ski mask on. I'm sorry, sir, aren't you the mayor of this city? No. Crypto rug pull. I think the problem with the crypto rug pull is, one, you need people to rug pull, and then two, you lose a ton of reputation doing it. And then three, it is a crime. Rigetti, I think will be flat today. I think it's going to be at below 8. No, meme coins, fraud is regulated, right? So fraud is still regulated. Fraud is crime no matter what. It doesn't matter what you're selling. So wire fraud is a crime regardless. So a true rug where somebody literally just dumps everything they have is absolutely wire fraud. I'll put it back for a second. Okay. If you say I'm never going to sell, or I'm not going to sell, or I'm not selling, and then you do, that's a crime. If you never say, hey, I never told you I would hold this forever, then I think you're in better shape than before. Might be implicit, but if you rug it, it's still a crime, because you're basically saying, I knew I was going to dump everything, right? I knew I was going to dump it all, but I still offered it to all of you, knowing that you would have loved to have known. This is how they got me, actually, in hedge funds, which I dispute to this day, of course. But they asked my investors, because I gave them a disclosure document that says, hey, you might lose all your money, right? Looks, nobody's gone to jail yet. I would not be shocked if people did start going to jail. I gave my stockholders or my limited partners a document that said, look, Martin can do whatever he wants with this money, and he might lose it all. And I didn't lose it all, which is the funniest part of all. I made a lot of money. But he might lose it all. And you got to be careful, and you got to be ready to lose it all. So, be careful.
Order filled.
But that's not enough, even if you gave out that disclosure document. You basically, all you have to do is sit down and one of the buyers of the meme coin, and you say, sir, you bought this meme coin, correct? Yes, I did. And sir, how much money did you lose buying this meme coin? I lost $10,000. All right, sir. And when you bought it, it was $10,000, and you haven't sold it yet, right, sir? Correct. And today, the present value of it is what? 2 cents. Okay, so if you were to sell it, you would get about 2 cents, correct? Correct. Okay. Now, sir, Mr. Baggie, Mr. Baggison, Paper Baggison, interesting name. You are new to investing, is that right? Well, I bought some stocks. I bought some crypto. So I guess I'm new, yeah. All right, Mr. Baggison, well, did you know that you could lose all your money? Yeah, I lose my money sometimes. But did you ever think that the person that sold you this crypto was planning to sell it all along? There'll probably be some objection. But basically, it's like, no. And why didn't you think that, Mr. Baggison? Well, I wouldn't have bought it if I knew that. Ah, you never would have bought it if you knew that the person selling it to you was just about to sell all of it without your knowledge, correct? Yeah. Okay. So you would have liked to have known that this person planned to sell it all. Yeah. And you would have avoided that crypto in that case. Hmm. And any hardship you've suffered from losing that $10,000? I could have bought Regretti. That went up 10x. So believe it or not, there's a guy who said that in my case. He put like $100,000 in our fund. He got 240 out. But he said that he lost money because he was going to buy Facebook. I shit you not. I shit you not. He says he was going to buy Facebook stock. No, wait. He said he was going to buy a building. He said he was going to buy a building. And the prosecutor said, how much would you have made on the building? And the guy said it was like a 5x. And I fucking kid you not. The judge made me pay the 5x. Just on this guy's word. His word. That it would have gone up 5x.
Order filled. Order cancelled.
It is what it is.
Order filled.
It's all in the game. Take some W's, take some L's. I was furious. I told my lawyer, I said, what's to stop him from saying he was about to buy Google, Facebook, OpenAI? Could have been anything. Facebook went up 100x since then. You should have said Facebook. Yeah, for fuck, I was livid. Yeah, anyway, point being, it is illegal to rug pull, and anyone doing it should be worried about prison. Because fraud is fraud. Doesn't matter if it's a meme coin or not. I don't know how much I paid, like 20 million or something. The nice thing is when you're actually talented in life, money has basically no meaning, because like the main guy who screwed me over was this like million-year-old, I don't know how old he is, must be 80 or something, like drug executive who'd just been a shitty drug executive his whole life. He never really made it. And he had a chance to screw me over, so he took the chance. And, you know, it made him an extra 5 million or something than he wouldn't have made in his shitty drug career. But to me, it's like, well, I can make billion-dollar companies to snap my fingers. Like, this shit is easy to me. That's why I'm globally known. That's why I'm talented. Like, so you can screw me out of 5 million. You could screw me out of 100 million. It doesn't make a difference to me. You know, that's the way, you know, sort of I approach it. It doesn't, you know, I just know not to do business with you. I know what to avoid in the future. And I go on my merry way, you know. I mean, I'm sure he thinks he's super successful, but, you know, there's obviously levels to it. I think he was very bitter because a lot of the kids, and he would refer to a lot of us as kids, we were all half his age or less, and we were making more money than he made his whole life. So to him, it was like, you know, just infuriated, you know, that there could be somebody who's getting paid because they're talented. Yeah, it happens all the time. Should I buy the dip? What are you talking about? Salsa? You talking salsa, bitch? You see any chips? What dip? Bro, we praying on a dip. We praying on a downfall. You in the wrong chat, homie. We bears in here. No, I'm kidding. I actually bought some SMCI, Apple, and NVIDIA today. I sold them all by now, but I bought some to get some long exposure. We charged 1 in 20. Actually, so what's funny is I never took any management fees either, or performance fees. Our fund had a fucked up trade that just sort of put us in a bad spot that we had to work out of, and we weren't going to take any management fees whatsoever because it's just too fucked of a situation. And you know, nobody likes a fucked up situation, but they tend to happen in private equity and in hedge funds. It happens all the time. And, you know, we worked our way out of it. You guys there? Yeah, my Wi-Fi is a little fucked up. Yeah, I can explain that more if it makes sense, if you want me to. Wi-Fi DDoS. IAC? Like I am or IAC? I don't use any kind of tobacco, nor do I recommend it. Yeah, my other computer's hardwired, which... Yeah, some, Andrew, some. I think a lot of people didn't want to have to interact with the government, which, of course, I don't blame them. I think the worst thing is that people didn't realize that they didn't have to testify. The government has this very squirrely ability to sort of make them think that they have to testify. And you don't have to say what the government is forcing you to say. Maybe I should get an investigation going on my former agents. You really don't have to sort of comply, but they kind of imply that if you don't comply, there's a problem. Oh, this chick DMs me a bunch. Seconds. She's a fan, but she's also a baggie. All right, let's get back to work here. So Walmart had 7% revenue growth, and then 6% revenue growth. Gross profit margin is 25% super consistently. It's almost like they have that policy with their suppliers. Operating margin 4%. So you have to deal with 4% operating margins. Do they tell their suppliers straight up, we're going to keep a 25% margin, take it or leave it? I doubt it. Really? There's got to be some goods that they can't get that kind of margin on, right? Interesting. Right, J dude. Yeah. Produce doesn't sound right. That might be a loss leader. Yeah, space is probably overvalued. I mean, we'll see how that industry develops. Okay, so cash flow. Let's look at cash flow. is it's not just the PP&E. You have other forms of capital you do have to put out, which is, you know, inventories, and there's no accounts receivables, which is nice because your customer's paying cash up front, basically. So that is good. I mean, close to book value, I would automatically end quantum short. So cash flow materially higher than net income, really important. So a lot of you, when you look at PE ratios, I think you guys think that a PE is just, that the E is always immutable, that, oh, that E is one thing, and it's not. There's a lot to that E that it's not what it looks like. Basically, no acquisitions for Walmart last 3 years. Kind of nuts. I think for an $800 billion company, you would expect them to be able to do acquisitions, but I also think they're probably scared of Democrats. Yeah, well, earnings can be a lot of different things. And free cash flow, look at free cash flow for Walmart is 15 billion, but earnings are 16 billion. Which E are you going to use? What happens if there's a really big difference? Now what? I wouldn't call Walmart's business a niche. Hell of a niche. Yeah, look, I mean, you could short more Rigetti if you want to. Thanks for reminding me. I'll do that. Shit, fuck it.
Order partially filled.
No problem.
Order filled.
I'd love to. Yeah, IonQ's working. Working.
Order cancelled.
It kind of sucks because I'm like max short, but this
Order
fucking
filled.
Rigetti is fucking me, huh? I am not up today, Josh. What's up? How are you? Of course I know you, Josh. Come on. Pretty soon we're gonna have Godel customer support and sales, or you can call up, chat with me anytime you want. I don't know how long I'm gonna have to pick up the phone and chit chat, but if you have something useful to say, I'll hear you. I don't know, Franco. I'm still up quite a bit since I started the account. But I'm actually, I think, technically down since December 31st. I don't know if we're going to do iOS. Probably not soon. That's what I'd say. Nice, Ken. Yeah, I saw that, Harris. Wild. These people are nuts. Some of these people are just bizarre. I mean, we're selling Godel to hedge funds, if that's what your question is. I just got a really good mark at year end. I think it was right around... Actually, it was weird because Jensen's thing came a few days after year end, right? So that was the high water mark. Oh, I don't know if phone terminal is a good idea. It's not parity, it's a parity. Parity. We expand the Godel team every day. Maybe not every single day, but frequently. We have so many upgrades coming to, it's gonna blow your mind.
Order partially filled.
We have so many price
Order
increases
filled.
coming. Can't wait for that too.
Order partially filled. Order filled.
Wow, Sam, that's nuts.
Order filled.
Okay, now I'm seeing some green P&L.
Order partially filled. Order filled. Order filled. Order cancelled. Order filled. Order cancelled. Order filled. Order filled. Order cancelled. Order filled. Order filled. Order partially filled. Order filled.
All right, so what's Walmart all about here? Oh, I didn't get the cash flow for several years. Let me grab that. Let's also look at most while we're at it. All right, we got NVIDIA has traded the most, 165 million shares. Then Ford, it's a low price stock. Rigetti, number 3, that's normal, right? Palantir, Lucid, almost bankrupt, $2 a share. Tesla, Intel, Supermicro, Marvell, Denison Mines is only $1 stock, so it doesn't really count. New Holdings, JD, another $1 stock. Marathon Digital, Core Scientific, Plug Power, D-Wave, Bank of America, Banco Bradesco, SoFi, Big Bear Holdings, another loser stock, 4 losers. Alibaba, Lloyd Banking Group, and Opendoor, a bunch of low dollar stocks, but there's the volume, some between 25 million and 100 million shares. Gainers, what are the big gainers? All right, we got Studio City, International, MSC, Lending Tree. What are some of these? Studio City is a resort in Macau. ECARX, nobody knows what this is, some Chinese company, probably Chinese fraud. Ding Dong, that's DDL. This is a e-commerce company in China, also rallying, probably fraudulent. John Wiley & Sons, the publisher, I love their stuff, 2.3 billion, I didn't even know they're public. BJ Wholesales, I'm trying to get one of those. Xerox Biopharma of 12%. Torm PLC, this is a refined oil company, crude oil, okay? Burlington Stores up 10%. Hippo Holdings, don't know what these guys are. It's an insurance company, I guess. Climb Global Solutions, some kind of a VAR, maybe, distributor of tech products. Liberty Global, the media company. Rev Group, which is vehicles and parts for cars. Faro Global, Abivax, a little drug company. Stevanto Group, this is a pharma healthcare product. Oh, these guys make like glass vials. Stevanato. Viking, our old friend. Fulgent Genetics, Rigetti on the gainers list, because there are not many gainers today, so a 6% gets you there. Daktronics and Cracker Barrel. Daktronics is, I guess, display systems. Losers, plenty of those today. MongoDB down 24%. I swear to God, this company, every quarter, they either hit it out of the park or they fumble. Marvell down 18%. Miller Industries, this is a towing company, kind of a small cap, but it's here on the list. Grindr down 17%, our favorite stock. Core Scientific down 15%. Innodata, Hims and Hers, AppLovin all down 15%, all momentum stocks. I actually don't know Innodata, so let's take a look at that. This is a data engineering company, whatever that means. 1.5 billion cap. Power Solutions, Kodiak Gas Services, Sezzle, Applied Opto, Solaris Energy, Oklo, Big Bear, Rentokil, interesting name, Credo Technology, Descartes, Chart Industries, Redwire, Nebius, all down 10% or so. EOS Energy, Adtran, and Priority Technology and CommScope all down around 9-10% there. So a lot of losers today. What's traded the most? Well, Nvidia and Tesla have traded $15 and $19 billion. Palantir and Strategy are third and fourth. Kind of tells you something that these are the most active stocks by cash. They're above even Apple, which has traded $4.5 billion, Broadcom 4.3, and Meta 4. Those are much bigger market caps than Strategy and Palantir, but they traded so much far less. And then Amazon and Microsoft. So these the 5 biggest companies in the world have traded less dollars than Strategy and Palantir. Kind of interesting. Alibaba, Netflix. There's Marvell, of course, which is expected. They reported. Alphabet, AppLovin, which isn't expected since it's in sort of this throes of whether or not it's going to persist and exist as a successful company. Taiwan Semi, very big company. Makes sense that it's there. But then you have Mongo, who reported. Supermicro, which is a stock du jour. Alphabet. JD, AMD, Visa, Lilly, Salesforce, GE, Vernova, which is the GE spinout, and Berkshire. Those are the most dollar volume traded today. You see Mongo down 24% there. So yeah, surprising. The IonQ could not sustain that rally and just dropped sort of further. So swapping out of IonQ and into Rigetti has not been profitable. Since Rigetti has outperformed IonQ the last few hours, that does not necessarily mean anything for the next few hours. So we'll see how that trade works out. I do still like the Rigetti short. I don't think whatever move is going on right now is going to persist. But your guess is as good as mine.
Order partially filled.
A lot of red today. Very few stocks are up. Very few. And this one was supposed to be down most of all, right? But that's the market for you. If you're a student, why do you think I should take the time to tell you where I get information and how I get it? Help me understand that. What are you doing for me? How am I benefiting from talking to you? I'm a student. You think I give a fuck what you are? What the fuck? Let me give you a harsh lesson, man. In this world, nobody gives a fuck about you. Okay? That's the lesson. You asking me for my help? Okay, sure. Here's some help. Boom. There you go. I just helped you a bunch. Enjoy. Enjoy the help. I'm preparing you for real fucking life. That's how real life works. You don't like it? Too bad. This guy just shows up here and wants all of us to help him all of a sudden. Oh yeah, no, I got you, bud. Yeah, I'd love to help you. Oh man, that'd be my favorite thing to do. Let me stop the stuff I'm doing and explain some stuff to you. Oh, it's my favorite. I love it. What could be better? Yeah, let me wire you some cash while I'm at it. How much do you need? Yeah, it's my Wi-Fi. Restart the router. No, I've been having this for the last few days. You want me to stop streaming? I can stop. Any better? It might get better. Okay, so this is what I wanted here. I got like his and her computers for my girl, and I think I need to get a his and her router because it sort of eats up resources. Haven't looked at Bear in forever. I really do want to look at Bear. Okay, so these are custom PCs built by somebody in my Discord. Okay, so here's the situation for CapEx and free cash flow for Walmart. Last 3 years, free cash flow went from 11 billion, 12 billion, 15 billion. Okay. Net cash is like zero-ish, right? 10, 9, 40, 470. Walmart's around 800 billion. Wow. So you're telling me people are willing to pay? I must have made a mistake, man. Who wants to pay 50 times earnings for Walmart? Am I nuts? Is that the valuation of this shit?
Order partially
Can't
filled.
be, right? Can't
Order
be.
filled.
That cannot be happening. What about Adobe? I'm talking about Walmart.
Order partially filled.
Yeah, did I make a mistake
filled.
somewhere here? Okay, Ken, we're talking about a different company right now. Yeah, I mean 50, 40. I mean, I'm talking about 50 backwards looking. You could say forwards looking, they'll do, let's say they'll do 18 billion. That's 44 times earnings. Jesus. Exact right stock price. All right, I need to fix my internet. Yeah, it'd be nice if you didn't disclose my positions. I'm not even sure how you have. Well, it's not 40 PE if I say so. I know how to do math. It could be net income's running ahead of, well, net income's running ahead of cash flow. So that explains a little bit of extra. The extra PE, but you know, I'm looking at cash flow. It's insane. That's why I've been bearish. Who the fuck's paying 40 times for the most saturated company on planet Earth? How many more Walmarts are we gonna get? 40 to 50 times earnings? Wait, it's 780 billion, 760 billion market cap. I was just saying that my connection problems are significant enough that I should just go to the office because I have to go anyway.